Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're looking into those strange glowing shapes in the sky. You know, the ones everyone's been talking about. Now, this isn't your typical UFO thing. We're going to dig deeper this time. Based on what you all have sent to us, it seems like there might be an actual message hidden within this whole phenomenon.
Yeah.
And to help us break it all down, we've got some really interesting sources. We've got firsthand accounts from a local journalist named Clara Reed, and we've got some awesome analysis from her astrophysicist friend, Dr. Ravi Shah.
Yeah, it's a really interesting combo. I mean, you've got someone right there on the ground witnessing it firsthand, and then you've got someone with the science background to try to make sense of it all.
Yeah, for sure. So where do we even begin with something like this?
Well, I think the first thing to consider is location. You know, the initial reports all came out of Morris County, New Jersey. People were seeing these unusual lights forming geometric patterns in the night sky.
Okay, so lights in the sky. That's not exactly new, is it? What makes this different from, say, your average drone display? Well, a few things. I mean, first of all, the sheer scale and complexity of these shapes. They were beyond anything a typical drone could pull off. And then there's the movement. Witnesses describe them as moving silently and with a kind of fluidity that seemed to just defy physics. You know, like, think about it, perfectly coordinated silent formations, shifting effortlessly across the sky.
So right away, you've got this sense of something out of the ordinary, something beyond our current technology. And this was happening in total silence. That does sound eerie.
Yeah, that's what really got to me, too. You know, most aerial phenomena, whether it's planes or drones or whatever, they all involve some kind of audible noise. But these shapes were moving in total silence, which, like you said, just adds this element of unease to the whole thing.
It's like an unnatural stillness, like the whole world is holding its breath. It's no wonder social media went crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone loves a good mystery. And this had all the right stuff. Strange lights, unusual movements, that unsettling silence. You know, people were posting videos, speculating about aliens, the whole 9 yards.
And that's where Clara Reed comes in. She's a journalist. So she was pretty skeptical at first, right? You know, she'd seen her fair share of hoaxes and viral trends that fizzled out.
Right. She wasn't one to jump to conclusions. But then she saw it for herself. You know, she wrote about feeling this overwhelming stillness, like this sense of being watched. It wasn't just the lights, it was the whole atmosphere. You know, it really left a mark on her.
So it went beyond just seeing some interesting lights. It was a real visceral experience, something that got to her on a deeper level. So what did she do?
Well, the story blew up. It started getting national attention. And of course, the government stepped in with their own explanations. You know, the FAA tried to say it was just misidentified aircraft or weather phenomena. But there was a problem.
The eyewitness accounts didn't line up with that, did they?
Exactly. The people who actually saw these things up close, they were describing movements that just didn't make sense. You know, like impossibly sharp turns, hovering silently for long periods of time. Things that normal aircraft or drones simply can't do.
So the government is trying to downplay it. But the more people talk about it, the more it becomes clear that something extraordinary is happening. So this is where Clara's background as a journalist comes in handy, right?
Absolutely. She doesn't just report on the different stories, she starts digging deeper. And she makes a crucial observation. There seems to be this pattern of radio signal disruptions whenever the shapes appear.
That's huge. That suggests that these things, they're more than just lights in the sky. They're interacting with our technology somehow.
Right.
So what did she make of that connection?
Well, this is where her astrophysicist friend, Dr. Shah, comes into play. She shared her findings with him, especially that link between the shapes and the radio disruptions.
So we've got a journalist who saw it all firsthand and noticed this weird detail. And now she's brought in a scientist to analyze it. What did he think?
He was immediately hooked. You see, Dr. Shah specializes in the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, so he's always open to the possibility of communication from beyond Earth. He started looking at these shapes, not just as objects, but as potential carriers of information.
That's a wild way to look at it. So instead of just asking, what are these things, he's asking, could they be trying to tell us something? So what did they do?
Well, Clara had been recording the audio of those disrupted radio signals, so she gave them to Dr. Shah. And he started analyzing the patterns, looking for any kind of structure or meaning hidden within the static.
A message in the noise. That's pretty wild. Who would have thought to look for something like that?
You know, it really shows you how open-minded they were, willing to consider possibilities that most people would just dismiss. And what they found next? Well, it changed everything. Dr. Shah, he found something amazing. Hidden inside those random radio disruptions were these incredibly complex mathematical equations. It was like finding a blueprint. in what just sounded like static.
Hold on. So it wasn't just random disruptions. There was an actual structure, a language inside them. That must have been a crazy moment.
It was. And it confirmed what they were starting to suspect, that these shapes weren't just some natural thing, but a form of intelligent communication.
Wow. So what did these equations mean?
Well, deciphering them, that was a challenge. Even for someone like Dr. Shaw, you need to know a lot about advanced math and astrophysics, but eventually they figured it out. And what they uncovered was a set of coordinates.
Coordinates, like locations on a map.
Yes, but not just any map. These coordinates corresponded to specific points in the night sky.
Okay, now this is getting interesting. So what did they do with these celestial coordinates?
Well, Clara and Dr. Shaw, they pointed their telescopes at those exact spots, hoping to find something. And they weren't disappointed.
They found something. Was it another one of the shapes?
No, it was something much bigger. At each of those coordinates, they discovered pulsars.
Pulsars, for those of us who don't know, what are those?
Sure. Imagine these incredibly dense, rapidly spinning neutron stars that emit beams of electromagnetic radiation, kind of like a cosmic lighthouse, sweeping its beam across space.
Okay, I can picture that. So they found these pulsars at the exact locations indicated by those equations. That can't be a coincidence, can it?
Nope. It was as if those shapes were pointing them towards these pulsars, almost like saying, hey, check these out.
Like a cosmic treasure hunt. But why pulsars? What makes them so special?
Well, they're like super accurate timekeepers. Their pulses are so regular, they're like cosmic clocks. And some scientists think that advanced civilizations could use them for navigation or even communication.
You mean like those shapes were using pulsars to send a message across huge distances in space?
It's definitely something Dr. Shaw is considering. Imagine that. Using the timing of pulsar pulses to encode information. That would be crazy advanced technology.
It's mind-blowing. But if they wanted to talk to us, why not just show up and say hi?
That's a great question. It's something Clara and Dr. Shaw are trying to figure out. Maybe they're testing us, seeing if we can figure out their signals. Or maybe it's a cautious way of making first contact, reaching out without revealing themselves completely.
Like leaving breadcrumbs, leading us down a path.
Yeah.
Pretty fascinating. And a little creepy, too, if you think about it.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It makes you question our place in the universe. We tend to think we're alone. But what if we're not? What if we're being watched, studied, maybe even guided by something far beyond us?
It makes you feel kind of small, but also really curious. So what happens next? Do they try to decode a message from these pulsars?
Yeah, that's exactly what they do. They start working on ways to analyze the pulsar pulses, looking for any patterns or changes that might hold a message.
But you know how those shapes were forming geometric patterns in the sky? It turns out those weren't just random formations. They were visual representations of those same mathematical equations, the ones they found in the radio signals.
Right. It was a message on multiple levels, like they were giving us two versions of the same thing. A complex one for anyone with the tech to receive it, and a visual one that everyone could see.
They really wanted to make sure someone got the message, didn't they? That's incredible. What foresight.
It shows a deep understanding of communication. You know how to encode and transmit information in different ways.
And it shows they really wanted to get our attention. So what happens next? Did they figure out the pulsar code?
They made progress, but the complete message is still a mystery. But they did find something else, something they weren't expecting. Remember those EMP disruptions Clara noticed?
The ones messing with our tech.
Yeah, those weren't random either. They were targeted, deliberate bursts of electromagnetic energy.
Targeted? What do you mean?
They were directed at specific places on Earth, places with historical significance, ancient ruins, sites with strong electromagnetic fields.
Okay, now this is getting really good. It's like they were trying to activate something.
That's one way to look at it. And it raises even more questions. What were they trying to do with these bursts? Were they trying to wake something up, send a signal to something hidden?
Like they were digging deeper into our planet, our history, trying to find something lost.
Right.
What did Claire and Dr. Shaw think about all this?
They were stumped. But they were even more determined to figure it out. They knew they were close to something huge, something that could change everything we thought we knew.
And as they went deeper, they hit a question that would change everything, a question that would force them to confront the true nature of the messenger's mission. Last time we were talking about those EMP bursts and how they were intentionally hitting specific spots around the world. It's like they were trying to mess with something on Earth, but what?
Well, they started noticing a pattern. A lot of the locations hit by those EMP bursts, they were ancient sites like Stonehenge, the pyramids of Giza, even some less-known ruins in the Amazon rainforest.
So not just any random spot on the map. They were going after places with history around them.
Right.
Places that have always had a bit of mystery around them. It's like they were following some ancient map.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And what's even more interesting is these places are all over the globe. Different cultures, different time periods. Like there's some connection between these old civilizations that we might have missed.
A global puzzle stretching back thousands of years? But what's the connection? What are they trying to show us?
That's the big question that kept them going. They looked into all sorts of stuff, archaeological records, ancient texts, anything that could shed light on this connection. And slowly a pattern started to emerge.
What kind of pattern?
A lot of these ancient cultures, they had these myths and legends about beings from the stars, gods coming down from the heavens, bringing knowledge and technology to humans.
You're saying those stories, the ones we always thought were just myths, could be true?
It's starting to look that way. And remember those images projected by the shapes, the alien landscapes alongside familiar Earth landmarks.
Yeah, like they were making a connection between their world and ours.
Exactly. And the deeper they dug, the more evidence they found, suggesting that these ancient civilizations might have actually had contact with extraterrestrials. It's like the messengers are trying to remind us of this forgotten history, this connection to something beyond our planet.
It's like they're saying, hey, remember us? We've been here before. It's kind of exciting, but also a little creepy. To think that our history could be tied to an advanced alien civilization.
Yeah, it makes you rethink everything we thought we knew about our past. But it also opens up some amazing possibilities. Imagine the knowledge and tech that these ancient visitors might have shared with our ancestors.
It's like we've been given a glimpse into a secret chapter of human history, something that could completely change our understanding of who we are and where we came from. So what happens next? What do Clara and Dr. Shaw do with all this?
They realized they had to share it. This hidden history had to come to light, but they also knew that it could cause chaos and disruption.
It's a tough situation. You want to reveal something groundbreaking, but you don't want to cause panic or make people think you're crazy.
Right. So they decided to take it slow. They started reaching out to other experts, scientists, archaeologists, historians, anyone who might be open to this new perspective on history.
Building a network, a community of people willing to explore these ideas.
Exactly. They knew they couldn't do it alone. It would take a global effort, a global conversation to make sense of it all.
And what about the messengers? Are they still around? What happened to those shapes in the sky?
Well, the sightings started to fade. Like they had done what they came to do, delivered their message, awakened something in us, and now they're waiting to see what we do.
Like they gave us a piece of the puzzle, and now it's up to us to figure it out, explore our past, face our place in the universe, and decide what kind of future we want.
And that's the biggest lesson from all this. The messengers didn't just show us a hidden history. They challenged us to think bigger, to embrace the unknown, and to step into a future full of possibilities.
Well, that's it for this deep dive, folks. We went from strange lights in the sky to a whole new look at human history and our place in the universe. What started as a local thing has turned into a global awakening, a reminder that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves.
And as we move forward, we need to keep an open mind and a sense of wonder. The answers we're looking for might be out there in the stars, but they might also be right here in our shared history and in our imaginations.
So what do you think, everyone? Are we ready to embrace the unknown, to rewrite the story of humanity? This deep dive might be over, but the journey's just beginning. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and keep those minds open.